So in the dollhouse, the bottom right room, is a little girl standing on a rock being, waves all around her and scary figures in the background. And that was a lot what my childhood was like. My uncle molested me from an early age. I'm adopted. I didn't fit in with my family. Like I said, it's just my mother and I. I didn't have a dad. I didn't have siblings. My mother was a doctor. She was never home, so I had a lot of different caregivers, some of whom were horrible. And again, I didn't fit in the family. I was, they were all doctors and lawyers, and here's this artist kid, who reads sci-fi and has this rich fantasy life and draws on the walls, and not what they were used to. And so I made this piece to show what it feels like when you're a child and you don't feel like the world is safe. And your adult caregivers, they can be really loving and supporting, but if they're not protecting you as a child, you don't know that they don't know what's happening. You assume they know what's happening, so everybody becomes untrustworthy. And I remember I wasn't allowed to see Invasion of the Body Snatchers because I was too young, and my older cousin took me to see it anyway. And I became, for 6 months, I was convinced that all the adults around me were pod people, were taking it. I didn't trust any of them. I didn't feel connected to any of them. I felt I just drew and read books. That's where it was. And I had a circle of friends, luckily, growing up in the Bronx, that were amazing, that I still know, that we saw every day, and we all hung out. And the vast majority of us were latchkey kids. Our parents were not home. So it was this gang of kids. But even in that gang of kids, I had a mom and no dad. My mom was divorced. I was adopted. So I was already an outsider. And I drew things, and nobody else did. I mean, a lot of the kids in that group, we made things. We made Super 8 movies. We did weird science experiments. It was an interesting group of kids. But, I would sit there and, like in school, I would sit there and I'd go like this and I'd pretend I was drawing the whole environment. Like I'd draw outline the teacher. And, and then somebody said to me, "What are you doing?" Because I'd sit there like this going, and I said, "Oh, I'm drawing the curtains in my mind," and other kids just didn't do that stuff. So that's what this is about. This is what it was like. I felt like I was alone on a rock in the middle of the ocean. And it was also, I was born in 1955. And what I told my daughters, they're really lucky, because when I was growing up, you could be a girly girl or you could be a tomboy. You couldn't be both. One or the other. That was it. That was your choice. And I was not a girly girl. I hated wearing dresses, and my mom bought me that dress with the little smocking, and I hated it. And I didn't know how to be who I was. I didn't know. And my kids have had a choice. They could do, they're both gymnasts. They did a lot of extreme sports. And they also wore lipstick and nail polish. I didn't get that, So growing up in the 50s and 60s, I remember when my best friend's oldest brother and sister came home from college in the 60s and started talking about communes, and that you didn't have to have a 9-to-5 job. Right? There was this alternative lifestyle you could have. I can't even begin to tell you at the age of 12 how relieved I was. You could have an alternative lifestyle. That was fabulous. So, yeah, so all of that. So that's what this is all about.